Hey guys, this is a quick description of break-even analysis, which comes to you as a response to a question that I had on an Instagram story. As always, I'm happy to answer any questions you have about small or medium-sized business marketing or entrepreneurship. Some of these fundamentals will be really important for you to know. So somebody asked, how can I make break-even happen sooner in my business? It's a really valid question. I just recorded a video about Joe's ice cream truck, so I'm going to continue that theme as an illustration here. But the way that we kind of answer this question is to look at some of the fundamental terms first of all, and then understand a basic calculation. So break even is really this point. You might already know this term, but the easiest way to think of it is when you're no longer making losses and you're no longer deep into profit, you're at that exact middle point. That's the break even point. And that's a really good objective early on in a business. And in fact, before you launch your business, if you've not yet started, you should try and calculate when will be in time, when will be my break-even point. You should put that out in a timeline. It'll help you better understand your pricing model, for example. But let's get into this. The break-even analysis, which is an accounting term really, but something that every business owner should know, looks like a graph. And on one side, we have our revenue. This is our dollars that are being kind of earned week by week, month by month. And on this other axis, we have either the number of units sold is probably the easiest way to put it. Or if you are in the type of business where you just sell one product and it's the same price every time, you can think of that as being number of sales. All right, but this is units sold is the other way we would say this. Now, in every business, including Joe's ice cream truck business, there is going to be some sort of a fixed cost. Now, in the case of Joe's ice cream truck, he's been able to work out that his fixed cost, the cost of his van and getting his logo produced and all that sort of stuff, for argument's sake, it was $20,000. Good work, Joe. You're in business. All right. He wants to know when is he going to break even. Well, to know that, we need to understand another concept, and that is called marginal contribution. Again, it's a little bit of jargon, but once you see it, you'll understand. So marginal contribution looks like this. It's a line that basically says, as I sell more units, I'm earning more money, and at some point that's going to cross over the line of that $20,000 that I had to invest so far by fixed costs. But you know that every time you sell another unit, this number is not really just the sales. It's actually the profit every time you make a sale. So we need to understand that a little bit better. So let's have a look at this. The marginal contribution is a formula. The marginal contribution equals your fixed cost, which as we know is $20,000, and it's divided by, your fixed cost is divided by the price per unit minus what they call the variable cost. And the way to think of that is, how much does it cost you to make one more? In the case of Joe's ice cream truck, he's out there working. If he spent his money being there on the day by buying his van and getting all his preparation work done, his fixed costs were spent, he still has to buy some ingredients every time he makes a sale, doesn't he? He has to get another cone, pour some more ice cream, maybe an hour of time, whatever it is. So we call this one variable cost. A simple way might be to think of your cost of goods. These are the variable costs. The definition, I think they like to say something like the cost of making one more unit is the way they technically put that. But let's think of it in terms of Joe's ice cream truck. Again, that might help a little bit. So we know that Joe's fixed cost was $20,000. Currently, we'll say the price of his ice cream is $3. How much does it cost him to make that ice cream each time? Let's say that there's $1 in ingredients and stuff like that. So we know that $3, the sales cost, minus $1, the cost of all of those ingredients and those kind of day-to-day variable costs, that leaves $2 altogether here, right? This is how we calculate the break-even point. If Joe has spent $20,000 to date, and he's making $2 free and clear every time a sales takes place from his truck, then we know that the break-even point will be right here. And according to that calculation, 20,000 divided by 2, that means this is 10,000 number of sales that he will have to make in order to hit that break-even point. Now, if he's saying, okay, I make 1,000 sales a month, the other way to think of that is 10 months of typical revenue and I break even. But there's a number of ways that you could change that. First of all, If he's interested in the time to break even, obviously instead of taking 10 months at 1,000 sales per month, he could say, well, I'll just increase my activity and get 2,000 sales a month, and then I'll only do that in 5 months, right? That'll shorten it. But the other way is to think about things like pricing. Now, I'm going to take it for granted that we can't always reduce our fixed cost. Sometimes they were done in the past, right? So they can be a little bit tricky to change. There are some things you can change. For example, the lease on a building is typically thought of as a fixed cost. And sometimes you can renegotiate that, for example. Or your accountant might come up with tricky ways for you to think about your fixed costs. But for this model, and you as a business owner, let's think about more so the practical things you can do. And particularly when we think about marketing as a lever to help with profitability. So let's go back to this pricing structure. If we were able to market more effectively, demonstrate more value in the mind of our customer about what Joe's ice creams are all about, if you use the best ingredients, if he communicates it's a really high quality product, instead of selling that for $3, what if he was able to sell it for $4, right? It's a bit more of a premium product. Not only that, as one of his tactics, his executions for the year, he said, I'm going to reduce my costs. I'm going to get a better deal on the ingredients, make some sort of an arrangement so I can reduce my costs. And so his variable costs, the day-to-day costs per ice cream cone sold, let's say he was so successful, he could bring it down from $1 cost every time to only 50 cents. Then all of a sudden, that number before, that was 2, is now $4 in price of the item minus 50 cents in cost. Now he's looking at $3.50 every time a sale takes place. Now my maths is not brilliant. As Americans would say, my math is not brilliant. But 20,000, the old price was 2, the old contribution here was 2, remember? So 20,000 divided by $2 every time an ice cream was sold meant that break even was going to be 10,000 sales. But now, if I need $20,000 to be achieved and I'm getting $3.50 now every time, if this is what Joe's thinking, well, he knows that actually it's going to be something like a little under 6,000. What is that? 5,700 or something like that will be his new break-even point, because the line, that's 5,700. The line is going to look more like this. That's the new marginal contribution. It brings forward much sooner that break-even point. And remember, we said that he was thinking about how long it would take in time. Well, even if he was still only ever selling 1,000 ice creams per month, you can see now that in less than 6 months, he's actually hitting break-even. So there's multiple ways that you can change when and where break-even point will occur. You can sell more units. That would be one thing. You could work with your accountant to bring that fixed costs down, or you could think about some of the fixed cost expenses of your business, try and work to bring those down. That can be a little bit tricky. I think in marketing, you really have a lot of room to play around your pricing, the cost, the variable cost of your goods, so that you can actually affect each time in this formula how much is being contributed. In Joe's ice cream, he went from $2, but he worked really hard on achieving a premium product and could charge, instead of $3, $4. And then he worked on his variable costs, brought it from $1 down to 50 cents. And that meant, you can see here, he almost halved the amount of sales needed in order to hit that break-even point. That's the way to think about it in your business. So remember, any of this will only help you if you also know some of the important numbers in your business. If you've ever seen Shark Tank and you see those experts sitting down there, the entrepreneurs and the business people, and they're drilling the contestant on Shark Tank, what they're wanting to find out is, does this person really know their numbers? And by the numbers, I mean, what are these numbers? What are my fixed costs in my business? What are the prices that I achieve every time a sale is made? And what are my variable costs? And then, when will my break even occur? Once you get into this beautiful territory here, after this new break even point, everything inside here, that's profit. From that point on, your business is in really healthy territory, and you can start to grow and invest more, and you can always steepen that line even further. So guys, thank you so much for watching. If you've got any questions about your business, drop me a line. You can find me at ajrollsy.com, on YouTube, as well as all the other socials. I'm really here ready to answer your questions. And guys, I hope you're doing well in business out there. I'll speak to you soon.